This is a video to help you with basic lacrosse scoring. I've done it for about 4 years and I've really enjoyed it, so I hope that this gives you a good overview so you enjoy it also. What we're going to look at today is we just have one side of the scorebook. There's a home team and a visiting team that are opposite each other when you open up the scorebook. Both pages are the same. The only difference is at the top, the goals that are running across the top start on the one side and go all the way across. So I'm going to first of all talk about putting in your roster. That's going to be the first thing you want to do. As you notice along the side, they list attack and midi and defense. But that, unless you really are familiar with the team, it's really hard to keep track of them in that order. So what I like to do is go ahead and put the roster in based on the number of the player's uniform, because that's what you're going to watch is their numbers the whole way through. So for example, say there's a 1, a 3, and a 5. I'm going to put their numbers, player number over here, and then you're going to put their name in. Now, oftentimes, always the other team will have a roster that you can copy. Sometimes they even have a little piece of paper that's cut so that you can just go ahead and paste it in the book. Either way is fine. I'm just going to put Joe, Sam, and Ethan in here. And then the one player that doesn't go there, though, is the goalie, or if there's more than one goalie, and that's what the G is down here. So you're going to want to go ahead and put their number and their name in down at the bottom, all the goalies. The other thing you want to do is go ahead and put their numbers right here in this box. This is for all the saves that goalies do during the game, and a save would be where there is a shot on the goal and the goalie is the one who deflects it or catches the ball. And so here, each quarter, you're just going to make like little tally marks of how many they save, and I just use the tallies where, you go 5 across. And then at the end of the game, you're going to add them up. So that's 5, 10, 12, and you're just going to put a 12 over here. And again, if there would be another one, say number 10 is also a goalie, you'd have them listed up here, and you do the same. So what these little quarters, the 1, 2, 3, 4, these are to mark off which players are in during each quarter of the game. If you can track it, that's great. And again, we track a lot of this at the high school level. The lower ages, you don't need to do so much. It's more about like who made the shot, like who got a goal and things like that, and the ground balls. But if you're able to note that, okay, Joe was in on the first quarter, so was Sam, Ethan wasn't, but they all were on the second quarter, you can just do like little circles like that so you know. Okay, shots are shots on goal that are taken by the player. And it doesn't mean they have to go in or anything, it's just a shot, right? So for example, if you're a attackman, you're probably going to be the one that gets the most shots. But so say Joe, throughout the game, I'm just going to make him mark every time he makes a shot on the goal, right? And we'll just go ahead and mark some others. Then this G is for goals. So say, for example, Joe does make a goal. So we're going to mark a little tally there. And then we're going to go up to wherever the next goal is up at the top here, and we're going to go ahead and mark down that he got a goal. So we're going to put the time of the game. So say it was at 5:23, which the timekeeper will tell you, and that was in the first quarter, and we're going to go ahead and put down that Joe was the one, his number 1, he's the one who scored. But then we may have had an assist. An assist is where Sam, we're going to put his number 3 here as an assist. This means that Sam passed to Joe, who immediately shot the goal. And that's what an assist is. And that's how you'd write it up here. And so that would mark that they had a goal. And that's where throughout the game, once I get to the end of a quarter, I always just make a mark right here. The other team may be here, may be above, in front, wherever their quarter ends, I just go ahead and make a mark there also, just to show where the quarter ends are on the continuous count at the top of the page. GBs are ground balls, and these actually tell a lot about a game, because a ground ball is where there is a loose ball that's gotten out and it's being contested, and who actually is able to get it into their stick and get control of the ball. That's who gets the ground ball, right? So again, as it happens, I just make little tallies here, so Ethan, maybe he's a defenseman, he's picking up a lot of them, maybe they got a couple here, we're going to add them up. Okay, so that's how this part works, this part of the page. Now the other half of the page, so I'm sorry, I couldn't fit it all on one because my scanner isn't wide enough. But so you can see this is where the ground balls were. So what you're going to do at the end of each quarter is you're going to start calculating. You're going to take a few minutes. I just block everybody out and I go back and I count. So say this is the end of the first quarter, right? So we have ground balls. What do we have? We had 1, 2, this is 5. So 5, 6, 7, we had 7 ground balls. I'm going to go ahead and put 7 in here. That's the first one that we have. Now say the second quarter, then I'm going to go and immediately count and say that they had 15 at that point. I put 15 out here because 15 and 7, the difference is what? 8, right? So then say the next time we counted and it was 20, they only had 5 that quarter. And then the last time maybe they had 30, so then they had 10 because the difference between 30 and 20 is 10. And if you add up all these numbers, it's going to add up to 30 at the bottom. So that's how you like track ground balls. This is per team. This is up here is individuals, right? And so the same thing goes where the next spot on this page here, we have shots. So you're going to add up the shots. Just like I was saying, you go count up here at the top. We count how many shots. So in this quarter, we had 5, 6, 7 shots. So we're going to go ahead and put 7 in here. And again, if the next quarter, maybe they had 10 total is what we counted, they only had 3 because 10 minus 7, right? And so on. So say maybe the next one is 17. So the difference here is going to be 7. And maybe the last one was 23. So then the difference here would be 6 and the total would be 23. And so this again is for the team. Clears are the only place I've ever seen it is in lacrosse. And I'm going to draw a little diagram so maybe you can kind of understand better what a clear is. This is a lacrosse field. This is a goal. This is another goal. Here's your 50-yard line. I know I'm not really good at drawing with this little thing. So a clear is when a team is, so for example, this is their defensive goal. Okay, so say this is our team. The other team's been down here and we get the ball here. This is our goal here, right? So we're headed this direction. We get it from the 30-yard line. From the 30-yard line toward our goal, we get it. And we're able to move it to this end of the field past this 30-yard line. That, getting the ball all the way across, that is called a clear. And it doesn't have to be one person. It can be passing. It can be whatever else like that. So if you're able to do that, that is called a clear. You would mark a tally there. A failed clear is if we headed that direction, but maybe it was intercepted, maybe it was knocked out of the cradle, whatever. They only got to here and the team took it and started bringing it back. That's going to be a failed clear. And so through the quarters, you just make marks of how many you had, right? And you just kind of keep marking them here and however many you have, say. And at the end of the quarter, so you're going to add up. So you had 3, 4. You had 4 total in that quarter, and we actually got 3 of them. So 3 of 4 were clears, right? Here we had 3 plus 5 would be 8 total, but we only got 3 of the 8. And so if it went like that, say that was the end of the game. I'm just going to show you for simplicity, right? So we have 12 opportunities, 8 plus 4. We actually had 6. So basically half of the times that we had the ball, we actually got it to the other end of the field. So you can see where if you start tracking clears, it becomes pretty obvious of whether the team is actually moving the ball to where they can actually are in striking distance and can get a goal. So that's what a clear is. And again, track whatever you can track. At the high school level, we need to track all of this stuff because that's important. At the lower level, it's all about having fun. But it's kind of good because then you know what's happening in the game. Okay, with extra man, we're going to go back up for a minute and look at penalties and fouls. This box is where when a penalty is called and the ref will come over to the table and he will tell you what it's for. And of course, then the player will sit right in front of that table. They actually need to sit just to the side of the table, not block. And they need to stay there on a knee the whole time. They don't get up. They're supposed to be right there. But they're going to tell you what the penalty is. So first of all, you're going to put how much the time is. So it might be like 1 minute, or it could be 30 seconds, right? So that I just write that in here. Then this is the player's number. So say, for example, Joe got 1, and Sam got 1. And then we're going to put what the infraction is. And again, the referee is going to tell you. If you do not hear it correctly, ask him to please repeat it. but he'll tell you what it is. You know, a slash is often what you get. So maybe there's a slash, maybe there's a push. And then you're going to record what quarter that happened in and the time. And the time is the time of the quarter, which again, just like with the goals, the timekeeper will tell you at what point that is. You know, so you're going to just put the time in there, like 3:03 or whatever. This quarter, maybe it was at 10, you know, whatever it is, you know, you're just going to put in what the time is. Now, going back to extra man, if this is our page for our team, when we're going to have, when we score in this area is when we are up one man, when we have an extra man. So this means the other team had a penalty and they have one man sitting out. So we have an extra man on the field. And the question is, do we score a goal during that time or not? So if we do score a goal when we are man up, we're going to mark that we scored one. If they have a penalty and we are up a man, but we don't score a goal during that time, we're going to have failed. Okay, so that's how that works. So for example, if we had 2 opportunities, whoops, erase that. We actually got one. So, and this is where using pencil is really helpful because that happens a lot. So we got one, but we had 2 opportunities. That's how we do it. And again, at the end of the game, you would just mark what the total is down at the bottom. Face-offs are at the beginning of the game where the 2 guys are down on the face, you know, they're facing off in the center of the field, or whenever you have a goal and you're restarting. So with this, when you win a face-off, it's when your team actually gets control of the ball. And that's either by the face-off man getting it or that it gets kicked out and another player, often a midi, will pick it up. So the winning is having control of the ball and able to take it into play. And then you would make a tally here. And lost is the opposite. Now, on the opposite teams, the other side of the page, you know, the opposite page, you're going to have, so if this team won one, the other team lost one. So I just mark both pages really quickly because they should even out at the end. And again, like if you have something going on like this, where there were 5 opportunities and we only won 1, you're going to start to see that face-offs is where we're not getting control of the ball. So this is where really the stats will start showing you where the game went well or didn't. How many ground balls did people have? How many clears did we get or not get? You know, how many face-offs did we get control of? All of those things actually tell a story about the game. And that's why I really enjoy this part of keeping track of everything. Timeouts here. This is where each team has 2 timeouts per half. You notice there's one here, and then there's a second one here per half, right? And so on the whenever a timeout is called, mark on that team's page when it was called. You know, 4:14, say in the 3rd quarter. I just mark it down, and then you know who has timeouts left. One thing I want to go back to on penalties is I would encourage you to read up on the exact rules of that. Of course, you can always ask refs too, or everybody that's at the table. If you have people who are more, have been doing it longer, they're going to know a lot of these things. And we share information, definitely, you know, meet the other families members that are scoring with you, help each other spot. And by spotting, I mean like watching the field and knowing who did what. Because if you're looking at the book and you missed a play, somebody else can help tell you. And that's why we always have 2 of our people at the table at the time. Just work together, and if the other team saw something you didn't, go ahead and take what they said, because most of the teams are all just, you know, wanting to mark down what the kids did, and that's fine. But every so often there are non-releasable goals. So I just put an NR next to a non-releasable, because then I know that they cannot be released even with a goal scored or at the end of the quarter. So that's how I mark that. Okay, so that's pretty much what the page is down here. You know, you got weather condition, you got the umpire, you know, you've got a timekeeper. There's a place for scorekeeper on the other page. You can mark that in if you want to. Otherwise, just have fun, enjoy it. Again, if it's really not your thing, that's okay. I think it's great you tried it once. I hope this has helped a little bit, and welcome to the great land of lacrosse.